If it ain't broke, then don't fix it. The 49ers one-upping their opening drive from last week against the Rams. Welcome into 49ers Halftime Live. Laura Britt alongside Donte Whitner, Joe Staley. The 49ers have a 20-3 lead on the Jacksonville Jaguars as they are on the East Coast on a shortened week, and none of that seems to be a problem for San Francisco today. This is something that we talked about on the pregame show. This is all the makings of a potential trap game, but the 49ers not falling into the trap.
Yeah, no more of that trap game talk. They came out and handled business, and it's a formula. Run the football, easy throws for Jimmy. And the defense hasn't really been on the field, but when they have, that olive jar, creating turnovers, stopping the run. So the 49ers, they can continue this, they're going to get away with a win. They're going to get back to 500 today.
It's almost like deja vu from watching last week's game. And they came out and did exactly what they did last week, run the ball consistently. They were running the ball in between the tackles a little more with Jeff Wilson Jr. back there. But then Deebo, using him the same way that they used last week. Surprised to see that again, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. Did I hit that right?
Don't think so. If it ain't broke.
Ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, no. Let's get a little Southern in you, Joe.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And how about Brandon Aiyuk? He's really showing up. A lot of targets this first half, and exciting to see out of the 49ers.
Yeah, let's get a look at the lopsided stats from the first half of this game. Look at the time of possession, and this was even more lopsided until later in the second quarter. But the 49ers are really taking advantage of a lot of statistical categories. And one thing that I think is really surprising, the 49ers lead rusher right now, Deebo Samuel. This is something we talked about on 49ers pregame live on NBC Sports Bay Area, is that he is a dual threat. He's a wide receiver, but also used as a running back, and we've seen him used as a running back today, Donte.
We have. He hasn't even had any targets at the wide receiver position, and that shows you that Kyle Shanahan is dialed in. He's interchanging these guys. There was one point out there where you saw Deebo at the running back position, George Kittle at fullback, Jeff Wilson Jr. at wide receiver, and the defense is trying to play man. They're getting confused. I like how he's mixing and matching these guys, and you mentioned it. Brandon Aiyuk, it's an awakening, right? He's being physical, catching the ball on a lot of in-breaking routes. A lot of times I see his helmet come off is because he's fighting for those extra yards. And, they knew that they would come out and try to take Deebo Samuel away. So your number one receiver today is Brandon Aiyuk. I like how Kyle Shanahan is calling this game. I like the complementary football that they're playing, continuing to get first downs. Jacksonville helped them with a couple penalties, but hey, you'll take it and turn them into points, and that's what they're doing.
There was two of the things on that graphic right there that stood out to me were the first downs, 16 for the 49ers, and then 0 penalties. This team this season, when they're at their worst, is shooting themselves in the foot. That's what the Jaguars are doing in this first half. 4 first downs for the Niners off of penalties to continue drives. And then when you're continually moving the ball and getting those first downs, that's why that time of possession is what it's at. You get 16 first downs, you're not getting big plays. You're just playing efficient football.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel has 5 carries for 47 yards and that big 25-yard rushing touchdown that we saw him have. But I want to get back to Brandon Aiyuk, Joe, because this is something that people early in the season were clamoring for. You come into the 2021 season, you think it's going to be a big showing from Brandon Aiyuk. It took until halfway through the season to see Aiyuk, but now we're seeing the full picture. Because they're on Deebo Samuel, they're able to use Deebo Samuel in the run game, and Brandon Aiyuk is able to be a star receiver.
And Deebo's still getting his touches, but for me, watching Brandon Aiyuk, it's the confidence that he's playing with right now. You can see it. It's almost like after he had that kind of public, he's got to practice better, getting called out by his teammates and his coaches, and then him responding, he can gain that confidence on the practice field. Now he's seeing the targets in the game, and now today's is the big kind of like coming out party for him in this first half. And that's just going to be a huge weapon for the Niners to lean on when you have him performing, paired it with George Kittle, and then already what Deebo Samuel's doing. This could be a scary passing offense down the road.
And one thing that I don't think we're talking about enough is the amount of focus that it takes for an offense to go 15, 16, 18, 20 plays with no penalties, continuing to move the ball. Like, it takes a tremendous lot of focus from everybody out there. And that shows me that the 49ers are locked and dialed in. This isn't an easy place to play in. Jacksonville, 49ers fans turning into a home game, and they're using that energy from the fans to perpetuate themselves forward and get back to 500. So I'm loving what I'm seeing. I love the consistency. And as a defense, you don't think that offenses can continue that. You think they're going to turn the ball over at some point, and they haven't turned it over.
Yeah, to your point, 20 plays, 87 yards, 13:05 off the clock for the 49ers opening drive. That'll wear a defense down and kind of get in their minds, which is something that we've seen from the 49ers 49ers in the first half of this game. If you're just now joining us, welcome into 49ers Halftime Live. Laura, Britt, Donte Whitner, Joe Staley here. The 49ers have a 20-3 lead on the Jacksonville Jaguars as they go for back-to-back wins for the first time in the 2021 season since week 1 and week 2. And I don't want to skip over the defense. This is something that the 49ers have needed. They have need defense to turn the ball over, to force fumbles. That's exactly what Josh Norman does, and Fred Warner gets the recovery.
Yeah, he did a great job. And, Josh Norman is known for that peanut punch now, being aware around the football, around the pile. He's going to take a swipe at it. In the second half, I saw a little bit of letdown from the defense. I saw, a lack in focus, a lack in tackles, but they did get that turnover. They haven't been on the field much. You have to know that Jacksonville is going to come out in this second half and give them their best shot. They have to be prepared. But, when they are out there, they're making the plays that they're supposed to make.
We talked in the pregame show about stopping the run and James Robinson, and that's their playmaker on offense for the Jaguars, and they've done that in the first half. But they've had success going downfield a little bit in that one drive, but keep them out of the end zone still, bend but don't break. And, the defense has to feel fresh.
They do.
They have to feel fresh. I mean, they had 4 plays for like the first quarter, so they're going to get the ball coming out of the second half, kind of keep that momentum going, and see if the Niners can put this game away early. Maybe see some of those backups maybe play in the fourth quarter.
I don't know. Last time we saw that, they almost gave up the game.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Okay,
make sure it's over.
You're going to have a big lead. Trevor Lawrence, only 8 attempts so far in this game for 60 yards. And to your point about Robinson, 5 carries for 6 yards. So, Donte, the first half formula worked. Do you change anything in the second half? What's the conversation in the locker room right now?
Well, the first half formula for the 49ers offense was come out, control the ball, and dominate the ball. For the defense, it was to stop the run, get up in the receivers' faces, play some man on third down, confuse the quarterback. They haven't had much opportunity on defense, but you have to know that pendulum is going to swing, and the 49ers are going to have to make plays on defense. But you keep the same formula. Stop the run, get up in the receiver's face on third down, attack the quarterback, force up his process, and make him beat you. Don't allow James Robinson to get involved in this game and beat you. If they can do that, keep the energy on offense, a couple better throws from Jimmy in the red zone, they'll walk away with a huge victory today.
Yeah, I think going in, watching the first half, the only thing that really stuck out to me is that the Jaguars were getting in Jimmy's face with some of the blitzes that they were bringing. There was a couple confusions up front in the offensive line. Jalen Moore not sliding out to the linebacker that he has. And then that's when you see Jimmy kind of not set his feet, kind of overthrow a couple of those passes. I mean, they could have gone touchdown in that first half if he hits, a wide open Jeff Wilson in the flat there. That's the only thing I'm thinking about at halftime, because the game plan has been run to a T, running the ball, controlling the clock, no turnovers. Continue that going on, shore up some of the protection stuff, and this could be a big blowout.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, 10 of 14 for 125 yards and a touchdown. What do you make of his performance? We can't go a halftime show without talking a little Jimmy G.
Well, I think that he's been efficient. They haven't asked him to do much. Obviously, the last 2 ball games, they're like, hey, we're going to run the football. We're going to be physically imposing. When it's time to throw the football, Jimmy, we'll put you in easy situations. But I do like that they got back to the RPO, quick rhythm throwing. After running the ball and dominating on the ground, now you just turn around, get that rhythm, and there's open guys underneath because the linebackers and defensive line are playing so downhill for the run. But look for a little bit more of that in the second half. They're going to load the box. Jimmy is going to have a big day in the second half if he doesn't turn it over.
I think, to your point, too, because Jeff Wilson, his style as a running back is more between the tackles, and that's where that comes in, where he turns his back to the defense. You saw the big pass to Brandon Aiyuk. They got a 30-yard gain right there. So, yeah, come back to that in the second half, but I still think it's going to be really run heavy.
Yeah, the 49ers have a big opportunity today as they are on the East Coast playing in Jacksonville, looking for their first back-to-back wins since week 1 and week 2. And that was against 2 really bad teams. And Jacksonville, really bad team. But you look ahead, and not to skip over the second half of this game, because the 49ers are certainly not doing that. But we can. So let's say they walk out of Jacksonville today with a win. The NFC wild card picture looks real nice, Donte.
It looks good. They'll be there with Minnesota, Carolina. But the 49ers have, the 6th easiest schedule left. So they control their own destiny. So if you win this game, you get to Minnesota, you're both fighting for the same, playoff spot, anything can happen. And all it takes for you to get into the playoffs, get hot, and you can run off with the trophy.
Yeah, they got to finish this game off, but then that's a big game next week against the Minnesota Vikings coming here. And the Niners are going to be up for that because that's going to have huge playoff implications.
All right, that's all for this edition of 49ers Halftime Live. Join us on 49ers Postgame Live. Takeo Spikes will be joining us as well from Jacksonville. That's over on NBC Sports Bay Area. The Niners with a 20-3 lead over the Jags at the half.